What are nightmare dungeons? What are they for and how do you farm them? How do you craft sigils and what kind of loot will you get from that? Escalated and standard dungeons, how the war plan buffs work and how the dungeons themselves work after the Lord of Hatred expansion. Hey guys, today briefly and concisely about nightmare dungeons, also known as NDs, in Diablo 4. I will tell you new off. Let's go. Dungeons are available right from level 1. They are standard. To make them nightmare, you need a nightmare sigil. Nightmare sigils come in two types, standard and escalated, also known as enhanced, also known as legendary. What is a nightmare dungeon? It is a randomly generated dungeon, upon completion of which you receive certain rewards. In some seasons they are significant, in others they are not. Sometimes inside nightmare dungeons you encounter various activities in the form of chests or pylons. These events have a timer, usually 1 minute, and after they are completed you are given a separate reward. Nightmare Dungeon Sigil Crafting. You can craft nightmare sigils at the occultist for a certain amount of powder and gold. The powder itself drops from many sources and is not a scarce resource. Powder is also given from salvaging unwanted sigils. The source of powder, like any other resource in the game, is indicated on the resource itself. You just need to hover your mouse over the resource and you will see the sources for obtaining it. Sigils, but only standard ones, also drop from whispered tree caches and world bosses, more rarely from random elites or mini-bosses. Sigils start dropping at level 25 depending on the season. Escalated sigils can only be crafted in the cube. From 5 standard ones, you get 1 escalated one. The bonuses on the original sigils do not affect the bonuses on the resulting ones. They are always random and almost always useless. All mechanics of standard and escalated dungeons work not only in seasons, but also in the eternal realm. You can distinguish purely seasonal bonuses for floors or sigils by the presence of a seasonal symbol, a leaf. That is, if you see a leaf, that reward or activity is only available in the season. Anything not marked is for both the season and the eternal realm. What drops in nightmare dungeons in general as loot? Almost everything, albeit in small quantities. Legendaries, standard and ancestral, mythic items too, although rarely, but they drop less often everywhere in the game. Almost all types of resources, the main one of which in NDS is Obducite, boss summoning materials, any runes, all types of tributes for the Kurast Undercity. That is, nightmare dungeons, also known as NDs, are a universal place to farm everything. Everything, but in small amounts. And they are quite entertaining and are an important part of the game. Which sigils are valuable and which are trash. This changes slightly from season to season, but in general, sigils with the mythic prankster affix are valuable. They were valuable at one point when mythic items themselves were valuable. The Goblin Sigil. They were valuable before, then for a couple of seasons they were trash, then they became valuable again. The Strongroom Sigil, same thing. First they were valuable because of the Obducite drop, then trash for several seasons in a row. Trash that no one runs anymore. So there is no clear answer to the question of which sigils are valuable. Everything depends on the drop rate of a particular resource in various activities. Overall, there is no shortage of anything in the game. The game is casual and strives not to offend anyone with drops. As a result, everyone is offended. Both casuals because they didn't get everything in 30 hours, and veterans because they didn't get everything in 300 hours. Both are true. Both types of sigils, standard and escalated, come with various bonuses. The bonuses themselves are directly indicated on the sigil itself. There are many of these bonuses and listing them is pointless. New players believe that everything is balanced and that in these NDs you can farm a very specific type of loot as indicated on the sigil. For example, gems or something else, but that's nonsense. Nightmare Dungeon Escalation. Escalated nightmare dungeons are the same as standard ones but have 4 floors. The first floor has the bonus indicated on the sigil. After killing the floor boss, you see a teleporter listing bonuses and penalties that will only work on the next floor. If you chose the war plan upgrades for a variety of bonuses by increasing the number of teleporters, then the rewards become more diverse. But that's a so-so story. For example, in Season 13 I discovered that this is a great way to get a floor with an XP well bonus. That is, due to the fact that there are 3 teleporters, the bonus becomes 9, and the probability of getting an XP well bonus from 3 floors was almost 100%. I made a video on this topic, and a week later Blizzard turned that probability into a ghost, thereby making the war plan option itself useless and unplayable. More on this later. Do not be surprised by anything in the future. As you master the game, you will realize that breaking mechanics, destroying builds, slowing down farming and leveling progress and gameplay in general is their usual behavior. Why? because the average time in the game is the key metric. The higher it is, the more sales of cosmetics and the like, such as battle passes. This is not my opinion. In this industry, it is a fact. So you reach the dungeon boss, which in the escalated version is also an Uber boss with its own list of unique items. Why some classes get the necessary legendaries like trash, while others have to go through NDs or the Horde to get to the Uber, don't ask. You can consider it an oversight, or you can consider it a feature. Nightmare Dungeon Forgotten Wisdom. Nightmare Dungeon XP. In some dungeons there is an XP well. In some seasons you can encounter them more often, in others they are more rare. It depends on the vision and mood at Blizzard. There is a small chance of XP wells appearing randomly in any ND or escalated ND floor. You can guarantee an XP well with a Forgotten Wisdom sigil. This affix can be on a standard sigil or it can be on an escalated one. If on an escalated one, that means the XP well is guaranteed on the first floor. Nightmare Dungeon War Plan bonuses. I will say right away, all nodes can work differently in different seasons. Sometimes some nodes get buffed, others get nerfed. Buffing or nerfing them does not require a client-side game update. That is, everything can change, or in the case of a serious bug, be disabled at any moment by changing various values on the server without you downloading any updates. This node gives an additional reward chest after killing the dungeon boss or the floor boss of an escalated nightmare dungeon. The next node is quite useful. While in any shrine is active, all killed enemies are remembered. And when the shrine effect ends, they all revive around you. That is, they revive next to you in waves and you kill them again. Loot, gold, resources and the rest drop from the mobs again. Third, when activating a shrine, you are given an additional random effect. Fourth, the point of this writing is the faster you kill elites, the better. The fifth node gives additional elites from a shrine. The central part, the first node allows dungeon bosses to revive after death. The second gives +1 to the level of all mobs in the ND and increases the chance of getting an escalated ND sigil as a drop. The third was useful for some time, as I described above, because it allowed you to almost guarantee getting a floor with an XP well. But the probability of this floor was turned down to almost zero. If it remains that way, provided that the floor with the Forgotten Wisdom affix is scarce, then the entire central branch is trash. At the time of writing this guide, it is trash because the floor with mythics or goblins almost never appears. And a pittance multiplied by 3 is still a pittance. But all of this, as I said above, can be tweaked one way or the other even 10 times a day. The entire right side is related to the appearance of goblins. I played with the maxed out right side for about 150 hours in Season 13 and did not see a single portal to the goblin hideout. The Altar of Avarice were also not impressive at all. I remind you, everything can change at any time in any direction. Next, important information in questions and answers format. How nightmare dungeons work. You open a dungeon using a crafted sigil or through the war plan menu and clear it to the end. Upon completion, you receive a reward. That's it. When activated through the war plan quest chain, a sigil is not required. You can open your own desired sigil in the ND if it's the next one according to the war plan. It will count for you both as part of the war plan quest chain. What nightmare dungeon should I be doing? If you don't have a specific quest in the campaign for a specific ND, then you should visit the ones that drop for you through the war plan. A sigil to open them is not required in this case. If the ND matches a Whisper Tree objective, you can also run it. Just farming all NDs in a row or just one of them in the current reality makes no sense. A long time ago people did that, but that was a couple of years ago. Now it makes no sense, so there is no farming guide for nightmare dungeons. There is only a general guide, which you are watching right now. Nightmare dungeon list. You can find a list of NDs on the internet, but it is as long as it is useless. There is no practical reason to know dungeons by name. There are 150 plus of them. Certain affixes can be useful only at the very beginning of the game. Just as various debuffs in the form of enemy buffs can be interesting only at the very beginning. All of this, both buffs and debuffs, is just flair to create the illusion of choice and the significance of a particular inscription. But some affixes, for example for gold and goblins, can be useful. Nightmare Dungeon Loot Table. There is no loot table tied to a specific dungeon. That was the case a long time ago. Any loot can drop in any dungeon. Loot is mainly tied to the world tier difficulty or to an Uber boss, but not to the name or type of the dungeon itself. For example, starting with Season 13, Nightmare Dungeons have their own Uber boss, Astaroth. This Uber has its own loot table. The boss has one, not the dungeon. Astaroth himself awaits you at the end of any escalated dungeon. How to find a nightmare dungeon. To find a dungeon, you need to open the world map, where they are marked with this map icon. If a nightmare dungeon matches a temporary Whisper Tree objective, the icon looks like this. Nightmare dungeons, like everything in Diablo 4, sometimes glitch, though rarely. This can manifest as a missing reward after completion. That is, you killed the boss, but the dungeon remains not completing. Just restart the game. This can be related not only to the game's code, but also to a poor connection or packet loss to the server. Nightmare dungeons, worth it, purpose or pointlessness. This depends on each specific season or balance patch. Sometimes nightmare dungeons are the main source of obducite. Sometimes the same obducite is more conveniently and profitably farmed in the infernal horde. That is, there is no universal answer as to whether dungeons are useful or useless. Nightmare dungeon reset. You can reset any dungeon by teleporting to its entrance and pressing the reset button in this menu. After that, you can enter it again. All monsters will be alive, but you cannot get the reward again from the campaign quest or Whisper Tree points located there. The repeated reward will only be in the form of drops from mobs, chests, elites, and the boss. Nightmare dungeon scaling. The difficulty of a nightmare dungeon scales linearly with the world tier on which you visit it. Thus, enemy level and the dungeon boss level directly depend on the torment tier you are on. The maximum level with the release of the Lord of Hatred expansion was raised from T4 to T12. Nightmare Dungeon Unlock. They are unlocked immediately after starting the game. Up to a certain point they are standard, and to make them Nightmare, you need to find or craft a Nightmare Sigil. This was covered in detail above. Nightmare Dungeon Whisper Tree. Sometimes Whisper Tree objectives can also be in Nightmare Dungeons. This means that upon completion of the dungeon, you will receive the specified number of Whisper Tree points. Usually it's 5. In the game, all activities marked in red give 5 points. These markers are temporary and change their location roughly every hour or hour and a half. Best Nightmare Dungeons for XP. Nightmare Dungeons themselves are not used for farming experience. As a rule, the experience given there does not surpass other sources in terms of experience per hour. At least for the 2 years that I have been playing, Nightmare Dungeons have never been the most powerful source of experience. Can you teleport out of a Nightmare Dungeon? You can leave a Nightmare Dungeon at any time to salvage loot in town, for example, but keep in mind if you are gone for more than 2 minutes, the dungeon will reset. Also, this 2-minute window during which you can leave a Nightmare Dungeon can change from season to season. Best Nightmare Dungeons for Glyphs. Dungeons are no longer used for leveling glyphs. Now glyphs are leveled in the pit. Also, you cannot directly compare dungeon versus pit. These are different activities for different goals. People go to dungeons, for example, for an XP well or obducity, and not for leveling glyphs. If you are a beginner, check out the Diablo 4 Basics playlist. So that's the main information on Nightmare Dungeons. If you liked it, hit like. If you didn't, still hit like. And in any case, leave a comment. I would appreciate a subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.